Silver!
What is with ponies and giving me a freaking heart attack?
I have amazing news.
Oh, really? Well, I sure hope it is, or you're going to be mincemeat for scaring me.
Now I'm hungry. Anyway, it's out! The MLP movie is out!
Oh, that's nice.
Are you not amazed? It's the movie!
You mean it? Yeah, that came out a while ago. So what?
Not it. The MLP movie!
Oh, right. The MLP movie. The MLP movie is finally out?
Yes! And we need to go now!
Go? Where?
See the movie, silly. Now come on!
You do realize me going into town is going to cause another stampede, right?
Oh, come on. What's the worst that can happen?
2 hours later.
I told you.
Why did I get hurt?
Because, game, if you force me to go to a place in town, you're going to get used as a pony shield.
Listen, you and I both know that Gordo is our collective pony shield.
No, he's my little brother. You, on the other paw, today became my pony shield.
At least the movie was good.
That it was, and now we get to review it.
Hurrah, maybe I'll bleed to death midway.
It's time to show them what you've got.
It's time to go and get things done. But you don't have to do it on your own.
What's up, every pony? I'm Gamelink, and it's finally time!
And I'm Silver Starling, and my bud here is right. It is time! Time for the thing every MLP fan has been itching to see. The MLP movie just came out.
For years, we've been waiting for this new MLP movie Hasbro has been teasing, but now it seems like just yesterday it was announced. Now that it's out, I think we can all agree on one thing.
This movie was awesome!
That's one way to put it, but yes, the My Little Pony movie was one of the best things to come out of MLP in my opinion.
From the story, world building, music, and more, the movie was well worth the wait. Finally, they got a movie right in this franchise!
Honestly, going into this movie, my expectations were pretty middle of the road. It seemed to be different from what we know, with the new art style and this big epic story, but I was ready to like it at the very least. But I didn't like it. I loved it!
So all that aside, let's get to the real meat of the review and get this review on the road!
You're not gonna eat me, are you?
Of course not! I'd never do such a thing!
Oh, thank goodness, I have no pony to take care of Athena.
Of course not! Not to mention you still owe me payment since you messed up that gallbladder.
It's not my fault I don't know the anatomy of a dragon. I didn't know the gallbladder was there when I sliced it open.
Oh, that's alright. It just means I need now 1,000 rabbits from you.
Hey, let's start this review!
Okay. We'll just talk about my payment after. But for this spoiler-free review, I will sum it up. Equestria, and mostly Twilight Sparkle, is setting up for something called the Friendship Festival. All of a sudden, panic ensues when dark storm clouds come on the way. Led by a broken horn unicorn named Tempest Shadow, a new villain arises to conquer Equestria. The Storm King, a satyr-like creature who wants to enslave everyone. Escaping on the skin of their teeth, the ponies must venture off to find allies in the wide, wide world. Filled with new creatures and lands, this MLP movie will take us on one wild ride.
The story, in my opinion, was like an elongated episode, but in a good way. It didn't feel like it was padded out, and the story flowed naturally. I did have some gripes with it though, mainly with progression. Although well-paced at times, throughout certain points, the movie takes a sudden burst. Like, we'll go from one long scene setting up story progression and character progression, then poof! We almost skip over that and wind up in the next scene. It kind of throws you off and makes you almost forget what happened, and sadly, like Magical Mystery Cure, most of it is done through song. Now, I have no issue with songs being used for progression of the story, but when they're used as a substitute for actual well drawn out story progression, then we have an issue.
I have to agree. While the idea of seeing more of Equestria is great, and I will get more on that later, the issues I had with the story is that I felt like you had to buy and read the comics to understand just a bit more about what's going on in the movie. For example, there are points about Captain Solano and her other crewmates that we don't see, Capper's betraying friend Chummer, how Grubber got where he was, and much more left out in the movie that can only be found in the comics. We also never in the comics see more about the hippogriffs, except for that small brief explanation, and we never get to find out more about Cludtown and why exactly there are so many different species here. We rarely find out anything on this world. And I should say, the more we got in the story about different civilizations and worlds, the less time we had. This story had great potential, but it needed a lot more time to explain everything that it needed to show. On a final note, the Friendship Festival is a lot like what other festivals have been in MLP. It's a throwaway, here's this thing you should know that we've done all this time, but we're just explaining it now kind of thing.
And it had so much potential with the promotional art. I mean, look at how much they could have expanded.
Sounds similar to the characters now that I think about it.
Oh, there was a lot to say about the characters. The main characters aren't really anything of a shock. A lot of them act similar to how they do in the show. All except for one. The main of the main six herself, Twilight. Without giving too much away, the best way to describe her in the movie was a lot more paranoid than usual. She seems to take a lot more dire risks, and they have even worse consequences. I mean, she resorts to lying to her friends. That's pretty out of character for Twilight. Other than that though, yeah, it's kind of expected. She does things out of character most of the time, but it's definitely out of fear of losing Equestria. On the other side of the main character coin is Tempest. In my opinion, one of the most complex MLP villains we've gotten. This is a character with actual character, and that's all we need in a villain like this. You know what? Speaking of, let's go down the checklist of a great animated villain, shall we? Menacing design, check. A real motive for being evil, check. A good enough ending to their character arc that it didn't feel forced, check. An amazing villain song, check. And most importantly of all, a threatening and edgy name, check. Her reason for being evil is especially heartbreaking when it's revealed in the movie. I won't give anything away, but I'll say this. It was actually downright disturbing how she became the way she is. You even start to sympathize with her towards the end. Speaking of Tempest, let's talk about the two side characters riding on her ponytails, the Storm King and Grubber. The Storm King is just your typical villain who wants world domination and control of everything. Nothing special, really funny, but he definitely could have been replaced with any other villain, maybe like Discord or something. But the one character I've been dying to talk about is Grubber. Michael Pena, what were you thinking? I've seen character choices by Gabriel Iglesias better than this. Grubber was one of the worst characters I've seen in My Little Pony. Yes, even worse than Gen 1 Spike. Heck, he was worse than Gen 3 Spike. He is the common, annoying, loud, obnoxious side character. Even his design kind of looks like a sentient tumor of a Sonic OC. He's just so stupid. I will give Pena this though. He did apparently improvise some of his lines, and in a movie like this, that's pretty hard to squeeze in.
As for me, my focus was less on the main characters, but the new side characters. These designs like Captain Solano, Capper, Queen Nova were all terrific, and I'm sorry to go against you, bud, I actually like Grubber's design to an extent.
Blasphemy!
Let me explain. I didn't like his personality, or parts of him, but I liked his color combinations and unique size against the other Storm King troops. He's short and the same color combination that makes him stand out among the general army, but that's really about it. That's different, ironically though, compared to everyone else looking brilliant, creative, and unique. I applaud Hasbro on making beautifully designed characters and creative new species, but for their personalities and motivations, that's iffy. Their songs were terrific, and we'll explain that later, but these characters could have done with more explaining lines about their past, revealing about their motivations, even just hinting at what was in the comics. But without giving too much away on their personalities and motivations, my favorite designs, and I think deserved way more time in the movie, was Captain Solano and, surprisingly, Tempest Shadow. Though both of them have incredible designs and make good use of the screen time they had, more so with Tempest, I feel these two were the best characters that Hasbro has released in the whole movie. As for Songbird, I am going to say that this character is one I want to put in a box, ship that box to myself, and smash it with a hammer. Very unneeded when we had Rah-Rah, and could have been more impactful, especially with a little scene that happens, but I'm not going to reveal it, and I'll save that for another time. For now, let's just say everything about this character I hate.
You okay there, Silver?
I just need something to distract myself before I claw that pony's voice box out, or something else that is nearby.
Well, I know a way to calm you down. It's talking about a little thing called world building.
You know how to get a gal excited! Because I am both happy and unhappy with this. Bringing on what was mentioned about before, and without giving too much away, the world building was barely scratched on the surface. They tried to cram in so much of it, they lost sight of focusing and explaining about the civilizations. Instead of pinpointing one civilization and focusing on it, we get a thin layer of technically 6 civilizations. Capper Civilization, Clud Town, the Storm King Civilization, the sea ponies and the hippogriffs, and the harpy-like creatures that was Captain Solano and her crew. Spreads them out so thin, and while it helps open up the world, it possibly is the only time we'll ever see them, since we have no idea if these characters are actually coming into the show. Honestly, I might not be a big movie buff in Hollywood, but even I can see this was a bad choice to include so many different civilizations and very little explanation about them. The good thing about the world building, though, is the fact we get such a diverse set in the world. It's glad to finally see more than just ponies on screen, with so many shapes, designs, and possibilities that could make this an incredible experience for a world builder to see, and so many theories that could possibly come from all of this. An analyst and reviewer and theorizer could have so much fun!
Well, it looks like the analysts and the theorists are going to have a field day with that. But you know what made all that world building look so impressive?
Oh, I think I can guess, but go on.
The animation! Frankly, a lot has been said about the animation. Many say it looks great, many say it looks like garbage, and I'm with the former on this. I really think the animation in the My Little Pony movie looks phenomenal. The 2D animation especially, considering the fact that it's hand-drawn. The last hand-drawn animated film we got was Winnie the Pooh back in 2011, and while that movie did look impressive, you can take one look at this film and see how much the hand-drawn animation has improved. But let's be honest, as much as everyone agrees with the 2D animation looking decent at worst and great at best, there's one thing that's gotten people to tilt their heads in confusion. The 3D CGI. And, well, yeah, it wasn't that good. Although sometimes it blends in really well with the 2D animation like Twilight Solo and We Got This Together and the windmill scene, you also have the backgrounds and the airships. Oh god, those airships. A for effort, guys, but couldn't they just have been normal airships like in the show? They could have been hand-drawn, but... I mean, although they can look impressive at times, throughout the majority of the film, whenever one's seen on screen, it just doesn't look good. I mean, just look at it. It looks... blah.
Honestly, couldn't have said it better myself. But I think there is one section we can both agree on that is enjoyable, if not more enjoyable than the animation, and that is the music.
Ah, yes, the music. I'll let you take the reins on this one, but I will say this, the movie definitely had an enormous number of amazing songs to outweigh some of the less impressive ones.
That's one way of putting it. Not only was the instrument so beautiful with orchestral work, the lyrics fit so well with the tone and theme. There was just enough to make it feel enjoyable and spaced out enough so it fit into the movie rather than feeling cramped or smashed in with a hammer. Personally, my 3 favorite songs in the entire film is I'm the Friend You Need, with the vocals and instrumentals coming out as an interesting and wonderful experience to fit Capper's personality, One Small Thing with its terrific message and sound, and again, brilliant music to fit the actual character of Princess Skystar, and Time to Be Awesome, which personally surprised me the most considering it's sung by one of my least favorite characters. Honestly, all the songs, I dare say, are better than we've ever gotten in the show, specifically for the original work. The only one I didn't like, that's the quote-unquote original work, and for very good reason, is Rainbow by Sia. Mostly because it's a pop music song thrown in all these brilliant orchestra songs that we had, and it technically took away from possibility of another orchestra song, but mostly because all of these brilliant orchestra songs were not advertised and only this thing was. It was over-advertised and overshadowed We Got This Together, One Small Thing, even the villain song, Open Up Your Eyes.
True, some songs were very over-advertised, but hey, at least the ones that weren't were really amazing. Heck, even Open Up Your Eyes was phenomenal, and I'd even say that's the best song in the entire movie. One topic remains for discussion, and that's the twists.
You sure you want to do that? We don't want to anger the spoiler gods.
Oh, hush now, there's no such thing. So while Twilight is suddenly a bunch of come along and start destroying but luckily
oh yeah! Or like when Pinky and Princess Skystar decided but then Queen Nova and gets
oh, and we can't forget that Tempest
and how her real
well, that's it. I guess since that's all said and done, all that's left is our thoughts. Honestly, this movie was one of the most ambitious and frankly one of the most impressive this year. I love the mix of 2D and 3D animation, and hey, the fact that this movie is hand-drawn and done so well makes me have hope for a resurfacing of hand-drawn animation. Who knows, maybe more studios will do what the MLP movie did and mix CGI and hand-drawn animation together. It seems like everything to come out of Generation 4 of My Little Pony shows off something new and impressive. The show set the bar for My Little Pony in general by showing off it can be enjoyed by everyone. Equestria Girls showed that the staff could leave their comfort zone and write about the girls with the non-pony restrictions, and this movie, well, it showed My Little Pony can come back to the big screen in a grand and extraordinary way. It's obvious a lot of heart and soul was poured into this movie in every department, the writing, the animation, the music, and frankly, it shows from the very first scene. Nothing in this movie felt forced or rushed, and despite some flaws, they're minor in comparison to the amount of strengths it has. I'm more than glad that I saw this movie, and I'm looking forward to watching it again and again.
As for me, this is the best thing Hasbro has ever produced for anything MLP, Gen 1 through 4 included. This is their magnum opus of work for MLP, and though it may have caused some delays in the show, it was still well worth the wait, and hopefully this is not the last time we see the characters of this movie, or the last pony-only MLP movie. While there's more I would like to say, I'm gonna save that for the spoiler review that I'll be doing later on my channel. But my general notes on this movie is simple. This movie has the best music, animation, and an impressive starting point for countless new stories to come if Hasbro takes the plunge. The only thing I encourage everyone who sees this review to do is to see the movie in theaters and support the official release. We need to remember that we have to give money to Hasbro so that Hasbro will see a demand for these kinds of movies and characters, and we can continue to get more so that this will not be the last pony-only MLP movie we will ever get.
So in conclusion, I think our opinion of the movie is pretty obvious.
It was well worth the wait and the price of admission. In fact, I would dare say everyone should see this movie maybe even 2 or 3 times to catch so many of the small background and secrets that are hidden within the movie.
Well said. So with this review coming to a close, all I have to say is this. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Gamelink, Brohoth, I'm out.
And this is Silver Starling, hoping that your travels are light and your road is safe until we meet again. How's Athena doing, by the way? You made sure not to feed her charcoal, right?
You're not supposed to give a phoenix charcoal?
I spent 2 hours explaining all of this and giving you notes I Paul wrote. How'd you not know this?
Oh, come on, what's the worst that can happen?
Depends. How burnt do you like your house?
Athena!
Today needs to be perfect. It all comes down to me. I don't know if I'm ready for all the things they need me to be. I am the princess of friendship, but that is more than just a crown.